Hi everyone. Welcome to Geometry Lesson 1-7, Transformations in the Coordinate Plane. We're going to start off with some review questions to see what you remember from pre-algebra. My first question for you is, see if you can remember what a transformation is, and just write it down in your notebook. Do you remember any specific types of transformations that we talked about in pre-algebra? What do we call the original shape and what do we call the new shape? So write down what you remember in your notebook. If you don't remember anything about one of these questions, it's okay. Don't worry about it. You can just leave it blank. But see if you can write down what you do remember. And then press play to see some terms and some types of transformations. The first term I have for you is transformation. This is a change in the position, size, or shape of a figure. So you'll notice that I have some triangles over here that I have transformed by moving them. That's a change in position. Now, the original triangle is known as a pre-image, and the new triangle is known as the image. And when we want to describe the transformation, we use what we call arrow notation. So notice my original image had points A, B, and C at the corners. So this is triangle ABC. And I used an arrow to show where it's going. And then I had triangle A prime, B prime, and C prime. Notice my new image, I put these little apostrophes above the point names. And that indicates that it is the new shape, where it has moved to, or the image. Now let's talk about the different types of transformations. The first type of transformation we will talk about is a reflection. This is a flip over a line of reflection. This is a line of reflection. So when we do this, if C is 2 steps away from this line, then you go 2 more steps and put C down on C prime. If B is 3 steps, you take 3 steps this way, go 3 more steps, and then put B down on B prime. And then if A is 5 steps, you would go 5 more steps and put A down. Okay, each point is moved the same distance from the line of reflection. A rotation is a turn around a point, and that point is known as the center of rotation. So you'll notice the blue rectangle is my original rectangle, and I have taken it and turned it up to here where the red rectangle is. Notice that each point is the same distance again from point P, and the points have basically stayed in the same order. Okay, notice F was above E, F is still above E up here. Over here though, A was to the left, but now A is to the right. So notice the reflection changes the order of the points, the rotation will not. Finally, let's look at a translation. A translation is a slide. All of the points move the same distance in the same direction. So L might have taken 8 steps over and 3 steps up. So K is going to take 8 steps over and 3 steps up. So each point is doing the same motion. Okay, let's take a look at some examples of this. In example 1, they ask us to identify the type of transformation and then use arrow notation to describe it. So take a look at A and look at how the points have changed between the blue triangle and the red triangle. And see if you can figure out what kind of transformation it is. And then name the triangles with arrow notation. In part B, we're going to do the same thing. See if you can figure out the type of transformation that changed the blue rectangle into the red rectangle. And use arrow notation to describe it. So pause the video, try and do that, and then press play to see if you're right. In example 1A, we had a reflection. Triangle EFG was moved to triangle E prime, F prime, G prime. Notice how the line of reflection would be right here, And the F, which was farthest away, is still farthest away. The E, which was the next farthest away, is still the next farthest away. And the G's are closest to that line. It's a reflection. They flipped it across the line. In part B, we had a rotation. This rectangle was rotated in this direction. Notice the T was above the S. Over here, the T is still over on this side and the S was still over here. We haven't changed the order of these points at all. So rectangle TURS with an arrow, rectangle T prime, U prime, R prime, S prime. This is arrow notation, and this is arrow notation. That's what it means. So we have one more example. Let's see what that is. In example 2, it says a figure has vertices at A, which is -1, 4, B, which is -1, 1, and C, which is 3, 1. After a transformation, the image of the figure has vertices at A prime, -1, -4, B prime, which is -1, -1, and C prime, which is 3, -1. Draw the image and the pre-image, and then identify the transformation. So all we need to do is graph all these points, and then don't forget to label them, and then see where our original shape has now been moved to, and what we would call that movement. So go ahead and do that, and then press play to check your answer. So my blue shape is the pre-image, the original shape, represented by these points up here. My red shape is my image, the one that's after the transformation, represented by these points down here. So that's the first part of my question. I just had to graph it. Now the next part is to identify the transformation. This one's a reflection across the x-axis, because again, notice how this blue triangle is flipped down to the red triangle. B was one step away from the axis, and B prime is one more step. A took 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, and then I went 1, 2, 3, 4 steps again to get to A prime. Okay, so this is definitely a reflection. That's it for this video. Make sure you write down any questions you have and bring them to class, and I'll see you soon.